A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. Glory to you, O Lord. On leaving the synagogue, Jesus entered the house of Simon and Andrew with James and John. Simon's mother-in-law lay sick with a fever. They immediately told him about her. He approached, grasped her hand, and helped her up. Then the fever left her, and she waited on them. When it was evening, after sunset, they brought to him all who were ill or possessed by demons. The whole town was gathered at the door. He cured many who were sick with various diseases, and he drove out many demons, not permitting them to speak because they knew him. Rising very early before dawn, he left, and went off to a deserted place where he prayed. Simon and those who were with him pursued him, and on finding him said, "Everyone is looking for you." He told them, "Let us go on to the nearby villages, that I may preach there also. For this purpose have I come." So he went into their synagogues, preaching and driving out demons throughout the whole of Galilee. The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. Psychologists say that the most difficult time of the year, the time of the year with the most depression and anxiety and fear and even suicides for all of us humans, is in the winter months, that season of winter, where the days are shorter and it's darker longer and it's colder weather outside. That is typically when we feel at our lowest. That is usually the time of the year that it's toughest to get through. And here we are, at the beginning of February, right in the heart of winter. You see, on the calendar, winter begins at the end of December, and it ends with the beginning of spring at the end of March. So if you take the end of December, the end of March, right in the middle, it's the beginning of February. That's where we are right now. We're in the heart of winter. We're about halfway there. We have some winter time left. Punxsutawney Phil earlier this week predicted that there's still more winter to come. There's colder weather and shorter days coming. But we know the days are getting longer now that we've made it to this point. You probably noticed that. But it's still winter. And if you fall into that category, well, maybe you are feeling depressed, maybe you are feeling more on edge, maybe you are feeling more anxious this time of year because you can't go outside as much, because the day is so short, and because it's just winter, and you just can't wait for spring. It's okay. And our readings today offer a message of hope for all of us who are living in the darkness. For all of us who are in the depths, who are in the lows, just not having a good time right now, just consumed by the winter season and all that it brings, and just feeling discouraged and despair and just depression and all those ugly feelings that we feel. It's okay. Because Job, the man we hear about in the first reading today, felt the same exact way. And you see what Job is saying here, we might be able to relate to. Is not man's life on earth a drudgery? Are not his days those of hirelings? He's been assigned months of misery, and troubled nights have been allotted me. And in bed he says, "When shall I arise?" And the night drags on, and you're restless until the dawn. All these feelings, if you're feeling them, or something in the same fashion as Job. Let me tell you a little bit about our friend Job, who we hear about in the first reading today, who gets a nice long book in the Old Testament, one of the wisdom books of the Old Testament. So this is wise knowledge that we're ascertaining from Job here today. And you might be sitting there wondering, what, it's wise to grumble and complain and be miserable and depressed like Job? Well, actually, Job's story, not necessarily what we hear about today, but Job's story and life as a whole gives us great hope. Job has one of the longest books of the Old Testament, 42 chapters in the book of Job. And Job spends chapters 1 to 41 inclusive, suffering greatly. And we hear some of his suffering today, but this isn't even the worst of it. The sleepless nights and wondering why he's alive. Job suffered tremendous loss in his life. He met Satan. He was with Satan, and his losses kept coming. Where he lost his livestock, he lost his animals. He lost his children, he lost his wife, he lost his friends. Job lost everything. But he was kept on the earth to suffer and to see all that he loved be snatched away from him. And that's why he utters these words that we hear, and this message of misery and despair that we hear in today's first reading. And then finally, because Job is steadfast, because Job keeps praying and staying close to God and doesn't lose hope and doesn't lose faith. As a matter of fact, in the midst of all these struggles, he doesn't curse God, he doesn't curse himself, he doesn't curse anyone else. But he says, "Blessed be God forever." That is Job's utterance. After every loss he endures, no matter what is taken away from him, Job blesses God and has great hope. He keeps praying. He has great faith in God, and eventually, chapter 42 of Job is very beautiful because God restores to Job all that he lost, and in great abundance, where he gives him fresh, vibrant, beefy cattle and livestock, more than he ever had before. And he gives him 10 children, 7 boys and 3 girls, and Job's girls are absolutely beautiful. And Job is blessed with long life, with friends. God restores his friends and then gives Job a nice long life, so he's able to live and see his children grow up and get married and have children. And he's able to see his great-grandchildren too, and he lives for over 100 years until he dies in peace. Chapter 42 of Job is very much a recommended read if you're going through a difficult time in your life right now. If you feel like Job felt as he wrote this first reading today, or whoever wrote the book of Job, if you utter the same words as Job in your situation and in your life right now, and this winter just seems like it keeps dragging on, and this pandemic seems like there's no end in sight, and it just seems like everything is dissolving to nothing, and you're just miserable, depressed, and discouraged, check out chapter 42 of Job and see how it ended for Job, because he kept praying, because he had great hope, because he had great faith in the Lord, and that is what we are called to as well. No matter what we're going through, if we have faith, if we have hope, and we keep saying, "Blessed are you, Lord, I know you're going to pull through. I know that there's light at the end of the tunnel. I know that there's a bright, big, beautiful tomorrow shining at the end of every day. I know that's the fact." Then God will pull you through. God will restore you and give back to you what you lost in great abundance. That's what it takes to have the hope that Job had. To have the faith and the trust in God that Job had will mean a lot for us. None of us know how long the winters of our lives will continue. No one knows how many chapters it will take until God restores us. For Job, it was a lot of chapters. 41 chapters. How many chapters will it be in our lives? That's in God's hands. But if we keep praying, if we keep going to Mass, whether in person or virtually, if we keep receiving the sacraments, if we keep close to God, we have great hope in Him. And in the Easter Sunday that follows every Good Friday of our lives, no matter what we're going through, then eventually we will have a chapter 42 of the book of Job in our own lives, where God will restore us. That's what we need. The Gospel reading offers a message of hope as well, and the responsorial psalm, "Praise the Lord who heals the brokenhearted," is very fitting. Because we need to keep praising the Lord and having a great hope, and that hope is exemplified in today's Gospel reading, where Jesus heals Peter's mother-in-law, who's sick with a fever, which could have been very deadly in those days, where they didn't have the medicine and the medical knowledge that we have today. But Jesus heals her. And then he heals all these other people who were brought to him. And why are they brought to him? Why do all these people come to Jesus from afar? And come to visit him because they have this great hope in God, because they realize that with God, with Jesus, all things are possible. Nothing is impossible with God. We hear that at the Annunciation when the angel Gabriel says that to Mary. We need to hear that and echo that in our own lives. That's what pulled Job through his hardships. That's what brought all these people who were sick and had various diseases and illnesses to Jesus. That is what allowed Andrew and Simon to tell Jesus, "Hey, my mother-in-law is sick over there. Can you heal her?" Because they had this great hope in the Lord, for whom nothing is impossible. And if we have hope in the Lord, if we keep praying, if we keep having a great trust and faith in the Lord, but no matter what we're going through right now, no matter how long the winter seems, no matter how many chapters of our lives just keep yielding loss and pain and emptiness and anxiety and fear and depression and loneliness, there will always be restoration. There will always be a bright, big, beautiful tomorrow. There will always be light at the end of its tunnel. And there will always be an Easter Sunday following every Good Friday. So no matter what we're going through in life, no matter what our present situation is right now, and I'm sure we're all feeling a little hopeless and a little confused with how long the pandemic has been raging on, with maybe seeing our friends and family members become sick or possibly pass away. How many of us are being consumed by the winter? And especially this year when we can't see other people, when we might become overly lonely this winter. No matter what you're going through, let's be like Job. Even though we may utter the words, "My life was a drudgery. It's better I'm not here. I have all these restless nights. And just nothing is giving me happiness." Keep close to God. Keep blessing God. Keep praying. Even Jesus prayed. And we hear that especially in today's gospel reading, where he went off and prayed. Let's keep praying. Let's follow the example of Jesus and pray. Let's follow the example of Job and have a great hope in the Lord. Let's have great faith. Let's keep blessing God. And eventually, we will have restoration. We will have wholeness. We will have happiness again. We'll be back on top of the world. Spring will come. And all will be made new. All will be happy again. We just need to have great hope and great faith and great trust in the Lord, no matter what we're going through and no matter how long this winter may seem for all of us. Hope, trust, and pray in the Lord.